I'm really happy to have the opportunity to meet and speak with Frank Kappas. Frank, thank you so much for joining me today. And you're in Finland. Can you tell me what the weather is like for you today?
Okay, should I show it?
Yeah,
Actually, in
yeah.
the window is a little bit rainy, and
Uh-huh.
it was quite okay. That's the normal autumn weather here. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. What time does it start getting dark there?
Maybe about 7 o'clock in Finnish time. Yes.
Yeah. Nice. I've never been. I've heard amazing things. I was reading up a little bit on Helsinki about
Okay.
how great the architecture is and the social structure and what it's a great place for families to move to. And um,
Yes.
are you born and raised in Finland?
I'm born in north of Finland,
Uh-huh.
and,
Uh-huh.
and my father comes actually from East Germany, from where is now Kaliningrad there in the Russian side. My father is like German.
Yeah. Nice.
That's why I believe the train's name is not like a Finnish name.
Uh-huh. Gotcha.
But yes,
Gotcha. And what town are you in?
excuse me.
What town do you live in?
I live now in Tammerfors, but I come from north of Finland. Yes.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. And are an Ashtanga yoga teacher?
Yes, I have done that for fun. I used to be like artist, but then I was like changing this because it was more fun for me. And I don't know. I'm still that way, but quite relaxed way.
Nice. I understand. What type of artist were you prior to going into the world of Ashtanga yoga?
Before that, what excuse me?
What type of art did you make? Like oil
Uh,
paintings and or
no,
sculpture?
I was studying with sculpturing things, but I was doing like modern art, and I get quite success that time. I was about 10 years like doing art.
Wow.
Before I was just then I was thinking it's so much more nicer to work with yoga and these things. It was just I didn't stop somehow, but it
Yeah.
was very nice time in the life, and this is
Nice.
also has been very good time.
Very cool. How did you or when did you first practice yoga?
I think it was uh, 1996, 7, somewhere there.
Uh-huh.
I think it was. Um, uh, Actually, I don't know how interesting about here my history, but anyway, I can do it shortly. I don't know if it's important, but anyway, it's. I went one show. It was actually Petri Räisänen, this Ashtanga Yoga teacher in Finnish, who is quite famous in the world. I
Yes.
went and just looked for his show that when they and after that it was okay. I was going like a few times, but actually the first real step in Ashtanga maybe for me was in Sulhaga about I don't know what the year was, 1998 maybe, and there was the Lino Miele, this Italian teacher there in that time,
Yeah.
and if I shortly try to make it. It was for me because I was not doing art. I was like this artist lifestyle. I was really nice to go like a retreat where I couldn't be myself. I was just nobody.
Yeah.
I was together with some things what I don't know anything, and I think that's a very like a good way to go somewhere. And then I was thinking all these things we did. I was really stiff. Uh, we did the practice, then we have some pranayama, and mostly this like group together, the people together hanging around. I just remember when I went out of there in the retreat a little bit earlier because I have some work or something, and I just feel this um, gratitude feeling that I was like crying when I went away because
Yeah.
I was getting something what I didn't like thinking to be existing. Something like this grateful that you can be maybe like present in yourself or some, I don't know how you explain that.
Yes.
And after that, I don't have had any hesitation about Ashtanga Yoga towards, I have not had this time that I don't, is it good or bad? I have always thinking it's good.
Yeah.
That was somehow the first step, shortly thought.
I love hearing that. I
Okay.
love, yeah, because that reminds me of how I felt when I first started practicing Ashtanga too. That just full on passion and excitement for it, and can't wait to show up the next day.
Mm.
So it's great to hear that
Mm.
how that you had a similar experience.
Mm.
And
I just wondering, sorry that I have not like repairing myself this kind. I cannot actually repair anything myself, like these kind of things. But I would not, I'm a little bit scared that I start to tell about like a yoga story, about my yoga story, like a good way, like only the positive things and these things. And I try to be honest, even it's very hard to be like vulnerable and honest, but I try to, anyway, that's my goal in this interview. I try to say something like real also.
yeah, great point, Frank.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
hear it. It's not just
Yes.
rainbows and unicorns every single day.
Yes.
There's some there's some flames involved as well, a little bit of fire. Some
Yes.
well, on that note, what have you come across lately that has challenged you?
In yoga.
Yeah, yoga and or even just your experience of teaching.
Okay. I think I have to make some different part. If I start with, I think the Mysore teaching is one my like loving things, what I love the most.
Yeah.
And one thing is my own practice. And I think it, for me, fits Lino Miele very good in the beginning because I was hanging with him maybe 8 years. I was every year in India teaching with him and lately practicing with him. And then was also Gwendolyn Hunt, some New Zealand woman who was there very close to me. And I was thinking it was for my life, like looking like backwards, I was really needing this kind of authority who say that, okay, it's 5.5 times, nothing else, like this. I need somehow like a structure.
Yeah.
And I get really like, there was no questions that I remember I asked sometimes, or someone asked Lino that, but could you practice 3 times a week? He said, what the question? I don't know. If this is 5.5 times, he didn't give any chance, something like these things. And this has much changed. I think it was very good for me to line up. And when I was quite young, not so young. I was like maybe close to 30 years or something. Now I'm 56, soon 7.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I need really the structure. And I think that was most key. I didn't think anything about practicing. I wasn't like competitive, this that I want to get somewhere. I just have this, that just do the practice and no theory, nothing. And just, that fits for me really good in that time.
Yeah.
But maybe the step when it stopped, it was when I get own family and all these things. Then I start to look a little bit different. And also, I think if I want to say some real thing, it was that I feel that when I feel very powerful and I can do many things, and I get somehow like feel that no one can hurt me. I'm really like strong. And if someone come with a problem, it's just blowing away from me. It's like I feel that it was somehow like I somehow like more myself now when I feel that I'm more like can be weak and vulnerable and I'm not. I can use the yoga like going towards me or away from me, and I'm more. I think I like this attitude around that there is more open
Yes.
these things, and I really. And that I think that has changed when I get the family and all this stuff. But that's one thing what I can go on whatever way. But that may be the first thing, and maybe I don't know if I want to. Maybe the next, if I want to say the next, what is the biggest step actually was that I was asking Lino Miele when I was practicing with him. 2000 that how I can study in yoga, and I would like to go somewhere to study and do, because I didn't have any responsibility for anything. I want just to do yoga. And he just say that, okay, but you go to Vipassana. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Then I went 2000 first time in Vipassana meditation, and that was my like turning point. I was somehow saying like lately that I have two credit cards in my pocket. One is Ashtanga, one is Vipassana, and that always when I use that I get somehow like a credit there.
Yeah.
And it's the Vipassana has getting in my life, be in my life, like I go usually once a year, 10 days retreat. Somehow I'm trying to go more, but maybe the family responsibilities are I'm a little bit stuck. I have difficult that. But anyway, in that I changed this. I really feel that I understand something about my mind and body and these things, and also how easy it is to get like calm and alert mind in this kind of laboratory circumstance where you don't speak and you have this special circumstance. How different it is in put into normal life when you have all responsibility, you are tired, you have these things. And that I think is very interesting. One thing, what I feel that what is the hardest, really the hard part to have like a good normal life somehow.
Yes. Great answers, Frank. And I agree with you. I had a similar experience when I went to my first Vipassana retreat. I was feeling like I had understood the asana world, and I'd always wondered about the deeper layers of dharana, dhyana, samadhi, or
Yes.
like the meditation element. And I had a feeling at my first Vipassana retreat, although it's extremely difficult and I was challenged beyond measure, I thought, oh, this is what they're talking about. This is what, just a brief glimpse of that. And I can agree with you too. I have family and children. And when my second child came, that was the last time that I got a chance to go to Vipassana because
Yeah.
my wife was like, no way you're not taking off for another 10 days, no telephone, no way to communicate, and leaving me here with the kids and the business and everything.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. And I also agree, and I really appreciate that you are bringing to light the humanity of that transition from feeling like Superman to appreciating feeling weak, tired,
Yes.
human, maybe some frailty. Um, so I really love that you brought that up. I'm so happy to hear this.
Okay. Yes.
Please keep going.
Okay. No, I don't want to only talk, but I think there is an American speaker or scientific woman. Sorry, my English is not so perfect, but have you heard
That's good.
Brené Brown?
Brene Brown. I love Brene
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. I think she has this one book. I was just listening on this talks with this, that when you should keep your vulnerable, and how important, how big strength is that you could keep it open, that you are not making all the time, you're like safe and these things. And I think that was very nice. I was just reading that book. I really recommend this. I think there's something about this society and all these things, that how difficult it is to be open, and that you take the risk that you someone hurts you and these things. And I think that's really like this big thing what she speak about.
Yes.
I have one other thing.
Please.
I don't have so many these books, but I have to say, when we speak about when we talk about, there was one book in maybe I'm wrong. I think it was the name. It was this monk from Swedish monk. I think it was. Was it? Wait a minute. It was the long name. It's a Björn Natthik or Lindeblad. I don't know. Maybe you don't know. It's a Swedish. But anyway, I tell the story very quickly. He was going to the. He was in the. Oh, sorry. I had to close this.
No problem. Totally fine. Every now and again, my computer makes noises.
Sorry, I put it without close, but it connected automatically in my. Okay.
It's no problem, Frank. You got it.
Okay, I put it enough long. It doesn't. Okay. But anyway, I think I like very much about. He was going to this monk for the forest monk for 17 years. And he was all this ritual. He went there and meditate and be alone the years and all these things stuff. And then when he came back to Sweden after 17 years to be like monk, and when he came to Stockholm, I think he came, was it Stockholm? I think anyway, he came back, and then he said that he really understand that one door was closed when he wasn't anymore supporting this, be monk that way, that you are this, you are in the forest alone and you do these things. Yes. But when he started to be in Stockholm, he was 2 years isolated, a little bit outside of Stockholm. No one called him. He feels like depressed. And during these 2 years, he said that first time he understand that how he could use all these skills, what he has done in this 17 years, to real life. Yes. That how he could really use that with his own depression and these things that he come out with that. And that was the real thing, what makes him like a better people. That all this, what he has studied, it comes true in that when you are in the storm. It means like all this, like a Vipassana, all these things. And I think also some people who are training very like discipline in yoga and all kind of all the time schedule, the pranayama, meditation, yoga like this, it's also that I think some can be this problem that they create like a laboratory, that they are avoiding the uncomfortable and the weakness of themselves, and they want to make like this, that they keep somehow the control for themselves. And that I was thinking is one important thing anyway, that I never think that when you do the yoga practice that it always that it's going through, that you are really going through your own how you say, own truth, or you see in yourself clearly and reality as it is and so on. That I think is always like a gummy band, that sometimes you go inside somewhere, you use the yoga somehow like avoiding the things or stretching somehow, that you get the distance, something that is not black and white. And I think that's the idea. It's very much about yoga. It's a practice that as well, some people can use that like a controlling themselves, or let's say avoiding themselves. The same people using that also to connect with themselves. It's not that some people is doing that and some people now. I think all the people is doing both of this, this with yoga. And I think that's a very interesting in yoga, that maybe some people could need really much more therapy or something else what can help them much more than keeping some yoga track, or maybe it's doing something totally different and then come back. Or I have seen anyway many of my students that they have like someone is going very deep in the pranayama, someone's going like these Vipassana things, and someone is going to mantras, someone's the yoga philosophy. And I think it's so great that the people are going, creating what feels them, to build up them like all that. You have to be some process that you are like alert and you get like motivated. Yes. And for myself, I think I have only one thing what I'm really fascinated is this adjusting with yoga. And that's so strange, because when first time I adjusted to yoga like 25 years ago, I was thinking one day when this feels boring, I never do that anymore. It cannot be. I just do as long as good. It's nice and interesting. And that is something what I feel that if I think that I have been now 25 years having a Mysore classes in the morning, nearly every morning, even I live in Sweden or in Finland. And I have also having like I don't want to say that I'm so good, but I just said I have had maybe 700 retreats or workshops, mostly in the same yoga school, like 20, 25 around here. And I cannot understand. I don't know anything about real yoga philosophy. I don't do so much, some pranayamas. I do some Vipassana meditation. I don't know actually anything else than the Vipassana meditation. And then I love the Mysore adjustments. And I feel I have thinking that everyone comes good in, I can be good many things. But for me, it's something that I think I'm just, every time when I don't even know how to explain it, but every people is so interesting. And I think it's somehow together with this, that I can explain every time different way, but I think that every time when I'm adjust to people, I feel really that that's not just the talk. I feel really that is the new sitters. I don't know anything. Yeah. And that's so nice calling this feeling. And then I see that I'm like, it's more that how you feel, how you connect, and what you do together, like that I'm doing something. And that's why I learn all the time new things. Every people, even we have some people who has been 25 years, still I feel that I find something new. It's just this moment when you are together with someone. And I think that's something, and I think that's something I think is something really interesting. And I think it's something together that the people will see them, that you will see them as somehow like some reality in them, and they somehow also connect with themselves something. And also for me, it's like maybe myself also therapy, because that makes me, I don't have a chance just to be present somehow. Yeah. And that I think is also that I think is, I really could do that like the 7 hours in a row, and I don't feel like tired. And I think that I feel also get some energy for that. And I think it's, I don't know, it's just my work, and I could do that whenever, and as I think it's so fantastic. That's maybe I feel that I have developed something, and I really love to develop also new things. Example with was I have this one example. I have one Alexander technique teacher who is very aware about her body. And I have very hard to find her to motivate adjustments because she was so aware all the time. And then we start together with her that I was all the time like, we the adjustment that I asked her to press some part. Even she do that request. I press in that way. I put my hand pressed here, then I put others press there. Yeah. And then we noticed that what happened to her body to resist or something, or push the feet or press this. Even it's very like a physical thing, but I make her to love adjustments. She wants to have every other adjustment. And then we use all the time different, someone for hips, legs, but there was some ideas that what happened in the body. And that I think it was example one thing what makes a new level somehow adjustments, that you make the other one active, or you make the other one relax, or this is not the people who are adjusting all the time, it's nothing new, I understand. But I think that there's just so like challenge way how you touch someone, how you feel your own body, how you set up, and what you press in your fingers, on what you feel in your hands, and what you use with some people, what you don't use the other one. And I think that's a very like calling, because every time when you go to body, it has always some possibility to get some new meeting with that person also. Yeah. And I think that makes this, I think it should be the whole life that everyone, when you meet someone, you don't have this old thinking and patterns and all these old sankaras, what you go on and repeat these things. You think that that's it, like that. And that, I think that what makes me that I would like to make the same feeling somehow. But I think it's very much about that you touch in you have the bodily conversation together, that you don't talk so much. You don't have this. You have to like go inside you with the adjustment. And I think that's what has keeping me. I don't think I could have interest so much to have a leg class 25 years, but this is something magic for me and mystery. I have also have these things that I cannot understand the people real. There's always comes a mystery for me. I think they're just so interesting. That was the short story about my sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome, Frank. I really appreciate hearing all of that. A couple of things that I feel like I just picked up on from
Okay.
you speaking. Um, One question I have is you made mention about how when you first started to practice the Ashtanga Yoga and you were practicing with Lino, that the structure was so good for you and that you really didn't have too many questions about anything, that it was just like
No.
really focused on following and knowing that there was a structure. Do you think if at that point when somebody asked Lino, what about 2.5 days practice or 3 days practice, if someone had presented to you a little bit more of a kind of gray, not so much clear, like you do this, you do that, but more of like, well, you could do this or you could do that, do you think you would have responded as well at the time? Or do you feel like there's this like aging process and like maturation process where like you had to go through that first to now be able to kind of explore the practice the way that you currently feel and see it?
I think this is so individual somehow, this that I can say that I think some people in the beginning could be nice to have a structure. And it's very much about your also the background and when you are, what point you come there. I think I'm very happy for that because, and I cannot be sure that could it be good to keep this like a more strong structure all my life, because that has been always for me a little bit difficult to keep my own structure. And I'm very easy to, I think that if I could have like, because I love all the time to doing the Ashtanga Yoga practice, but let's say I don't have so good discipline I do every day.
Yeah.
I do a little bit like that. Oh, now I have good time, I can do that.
Yeah.
I have much more easier to start to go with the basketball training, and I want to serve a family, to go to shop or do whatever things, so I'm building projects. So I'm very easy to just do something, not do it with myself. And I think that has been somehow like this period when I do very much about myself. Now it's very much about, I love to teach, that it's much yoga for me and all these adjustments. And I think actually nowadays, when the children start to be, the oldest is 18 and the youngest is now soon 9, it start to be again the time that I somehow would like to maybe have I think it could be so loving to have the outside structure, but to create yourself the inside structure, that this is my space, I take this, is really much harder. And I think it's one thing is that if you have this kind of teacher like Lino was that time, you are very easy because you somehow get this support. You don't need to put yourself the limit. And also that if you have a group where to train, I haven't had the group in the train for many, many years. I love to go someplace to when I could practice, but and I think that for my type of person, what I am, I get really much easier to practice with the group.
Yeah.
Because I can do myself, but I'm a little bit like, oh, but I'm not like competitive, or I don't have this kind of discipline. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm really like that way. I think it could be good for me to have a group where to practice regularly. But if you are every morning 6 to 9 here, having this club, many times you are very tired. Sometimes you go to meditate 5 o'clock, then you're absolutely tired after that. You're not so much longing to practice. Then you go to home and hang in there or do something or that.
Yeah.
I think it's. I would love to have this structure. I would love that someone make me this structure. But the point is that to create myself, my own structure, it could be the goal anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I think that I'm processing now and getting better at that, and that's one thing.
Good answer. You just made mention that do you have 2 children, or are there more children in between the ages of 18 and 9?
Excuse me, my children.
Your
I have
children?
Can you say again
Yeah.
the question?
How many children do you have?
Actually, I have I live in Stockholm. I have 2 boys in Scotland, Stockholm, who is 18 and younger one is 15. But I moved to Finland back to new family about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Then I live in Finland. I see my boys with the holiday, but I have not been in their like normal life.
Yeah.
But then I have the new relationship. We have a children who is 9 years now.
Nice.
And then we have also 2 girls who is 18 and 14.
Wow.
Well, our main family, and then the boys come to holidays in ourselves, and we have like this kind of a little bit sad, of course, but anyway, it works somehow. This is the family factor anyway now.
I hear. Have you heard that saying? Have you come across that saying in the Ashtanga world that having children is like the 6th series or 7th series or whatever?
Okay.
Like they say, like there's maybe the 1st series, 2nd series, 3rd series, 4th series, and then the 5th series is having a family. Like the real challenge sometimes is being a parent. Can you share any insights about how being a parent has enlightened or brought more joy into your life and or created challenges that maybe you didn't know you would be able to overcome or work with?
I think that it's just that when you get your own children, you want to give them everything.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to forget yourself because you're so happy when they are happy. And you can stretch as much. You are not anymore thinking about yourself the same way. And that, I think, is the best part in the children, that something's more important to you. And I think it's very nice, but this is I think is the challenge, that how you could also support yourself at the same time, and you sleep enough and take care about these things, that because it's very easily goes this also that it's very easy to be this family for the others, but it's hard to be yourself. And that is very easy to escape also yourself to just to serving the family, because you get immediately this good feedback and you feel it's so important, and it is. But I think it goes to time when you I think you have to think what you need and how much you need to support yourself and the relationship and all these other things. That it's many things going. You have to have time also to land down yourself. I don't think that I think it's I think this was just the one. I don't know why. I have my mind works like this. I get some like thinking what I remember. I remember one thing in when I was in long time ago in Vipassana, and then you remember, and everyone knows that after Vipassana you are quite open, and you have worked with this blind areas, and you are like open, and you can more like vulnerable and this. And then I see my children, what was then, I was like 5, 6 years old. And it was horrible, this feeling when you see this, that you understand, it feels that I see them first time now. You know that because you built up so much about these pictures, and even you are with them and you love them and this, but how you really see them as they are, and like you had to be really connected with yourself and this, that you can see the reality yourself and also to see the other people as they are somehow. And this what compassion they comes in this, that when you see just clearly. And that I think is a good thing to think that when you start to serve the family and you start to lose yourself, how good you are really with that anymore. That I think it's it's good that you love it, and it's very good that you give everything for the others. But also, if you don't take care about your own this body-mind system, and I think the Vipassana is very good for that, and therapy is very good if you can go sometimes. And there's many ways for the people that they feel anyway that they can keep themselves open, and they are like feeling good in many ways, and the relationships, I can have energy to work with them, close relations, all kind of things. But I think that's the thing.
Great point, Frank. I love.
Yes, I know it's not new points. Everyone thinks that, but I just say what
No,
I
it's
got.
important. It's important. I agree with you. I love the way that you reminded me about actually seeing them without my preconceived notions of who they are, what I hope they'll become, whatever challenges they're going through, that hope that somehow they'll be okay and that everything will work out all right. But like what you said, when you come out of Vipassana and or long-term retreat where you're in that state of mind of just seeing everything like even just like your refrigerator is like the most amazing thing that could have ever been invented,
Yeah.
like you get home and your bed, like your sheets, you're like, this is like, why would I need anything else in life? I mean, I have everything right here. So I love that you brought up, like when you see your children or your loved ones, when you come out, it's like you just want to celebrate them in some way, shape, or form. And it's a good point to take care of ourselves, to actually get to that point where we feel that way is an
And I think
amazing
it's
thing.
so. I just mean that example. I think we have here in Tampere. Sometimes we have this that we sit in group sittings and these things in Vipassana, and I think it's somehow it's easy that you go to sit and you start to scan yourself and start to feel you, and even you are staying like 100 hours in one retreat, they're sitting and observing and like making this, avoiding the unpleasant to stay with unpleasant sensation until they go away, and staying with pleasant sensation without making any craving for them. And you work with this, it's so clear, you just work with this hours past nothing. For me, it's okay, it's totally okay. But when you go to the home, you start to get these old patterns, a little bit tension in the stomach and this. Can you stay there in that moment and go with and feel that without acting and feeling where it moves, how it stays? I just mean it's not only it's just this, that how are you ready to change these old patterns, what you have in the normal life, what comes always with this little bit scary and this, that you have a stress, not like this. And it's so much harder to go there in that, because you have to show also that you are like weak and you are like your emotion. It's so much bigger thing that is 100 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I think even they say that it's 200 times more difficult in the normal life, in the storm, to use these things that keep. I think you remember this Vietnamese monk, this Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yes.
He died 1 year ago. I have always planning to. I think that he was very good, like this Vipassana tradition. Even he was very this practical part of that. Has always appreciating him and reading his books and these things. But I think I remember he was one talk show in state. I don't remember what, and she asked him that how you are always so like happy and smiling, and that is it real, that are you really like that, or is it just like that? Then he said that he was just smiling. He said, but I'm just doing my practice. And I think that's really good, because somehow you should do some kind of practice what you take care about it is, so your system, that you start to closing up, and you start not that takes old patterns, you don't start to repeat, and you can stay with your reaction without acting out. And I think in Vipassana, I think maybe that in the beginning, I really love this idea that you are not doing the Vipassana for making yourself enlightenment. That only reason is to that you are responsible for your close people.
Yeah.
And that I really love it, because I really feel it's true that, and what you really make happy is when the other people are happy around you, and you can influence the good way from them that they could be. And I think that's a real, like, some main points what I believe it.
Yeah. I hear you, Frank. I recently had a situation where I got challenged so much that all these ideas about I'm just doing my practice and being
Yeah.
able to be present to sensations in the busy working world, family life and studio
Yes.
life and everything. Have you had a situation anytime recently and or in the last few years where you have been tested, where you're, I don't even know if we should call it faith, but when you're in that state where you're meditating and you think, okay, I really see this, I understand that these sensations are just going to come and they're going to go, and even some of these really really difficult intense sensations, they at some point or another it will shift. All I have to do is just be present and just sit with this. And but recently I had a sensation that was just so extreme from a health perspective that I thought, oh, this is it. This is the big one, you know? And and I've been able to come out the other side of it. And I can't help but laugh at myself at how involved I got in it again, and just thinking, oh, this is gonna change and make everything so different. And now I'm looking at it
Yes,
from the other
exactly.
side and going, gosh, if I could have just relaxed a little bit,
Mm.
you know?
Yes.
Have you had any of those recently?
I,
Well,
I,
or
I,
even
I think that you were describing exactly how it works somehow. And I think it's exactly this kind of like a relationship or some things you get very easily this that you no, it can be for me, I think it's the same kind of things that like ex-wife we speak about with children and she says something and blame me. It's very hard to when you get the reaction to really stay in that and wait that is goes away before you come back. Then you can say, okay, she say like that, but I have done like that. Okay, but I understand, and maybe we can change this. And that's why the old patterns doesn't go on. But I think that in recently, I have some kind of it's like a therapy, but it's about my work also. And this I go once a month with very good like therapeutic. And I have many times it's the problem that we don't talk so much, but I try to find this shell, what I have somehow inside me, what I hold somewhere. And it's so fantastic when you get somehow this kind of special situation when it's just for you. And then you start to loosen up these things. And even it doesn't feel in that moment very, it can maybe feel a bit sick, but you are just working somehow out that, and it's so light, the feeling. And when you bicycle back to home, even that after that I start to see like flashback the people what I was last weekend the course, and I was seeing that I see them somehow, I understand them, not just seeing them, I have seen them, but now in the backside I understand something about them. Or if I bicycle in home, I see the faces and the people and the bodies, then I don't even just look or avoid, I just feel that I get something, connect them with them. I understand what they are hiding or what they are showing. And I think that's really to keep all the time, to keep this feeling inside
Mm,
that
mm,
you are not like scared. And
yeah,
I think this
yeah,
Brené Brown, so I think she has very good example about this to be vulnerable, how much you get strength and this reality and connection and empathy for the others when you don't need to close and
yes,
be like
yes.
trying to make yourself safe somehow all the time. I think that I don't know if I was saying things, but I was
Yeah.
just what comes in my mind now.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. Thank you. Recently I had a chance to interview Lotta Sebsta, who's from
Yeah,
Sweden, and she's the one who was kind enough, sweet enough when afterward I asked Lotta, I said, Lotta, who could I reach out to interview? And she mentioned you. She said, Frank
yeah,
is such a great guy, and she said he's so funny. He has such a great sense of humor. And I'm
yeah.
curious, do you bring comedy and or do you try to bring humor into your workshops consciously, or is it just like a natural thing that you do, or do you think she made an accurate
Mm.
description of you? Do you see yourself as somebody who has a great sense of
I
humor?
think it depends. I think it's very easy to be like a happy guy where you have a retreat and everyone supports that. I think it's also, I think in like in yoga shala where the people do the good things for themselves. Is it difficult to be open there? It's really easy because everyone is supporting that and make this light energy. And it's somehow, I think that the people who are only doing this, I'm really bit scared with these people who are only doing the workshops and hanging in the like in the middle of everyone. And this all these circumstances supporting things like greatly that they can like of course you get the best size in yourself in this, but maybe after that when you don't connect with your speaker you lose all your energy or low down. I think it's something that
Yeah.
and I want to say that because I'm really long time but I'm very like slowly in these changes, but I'm somehow I'm now I'm going to study some trauma based yoga, and I think I'm really interested about the special groups in that way because I have had some people here and like who was coming out of prison and this, and I see that just a normal yoga practice when they move lightly or like moving typically and they are connecting somehow what's happened themselves more or less. After that they relax really good. They can say I have never relaxed so much so good. And I think is something that I'm really interested because actually many people, of course, every people has a big problem what we don't know, and everyone is very challenged with the yoga and these things. But there is anyway some kind of the people who's coming yoga, they already somehow choosing to take care about themselves.
Yeah.
But there is people, what I have talked with these people who if they have €5 and they can choose if they go to yoga or they buy the cigarettes, they never think about go to yoga. And I speak about this kind of people who is not like imagining that, oh, what I should do myself, should I take care of myself? They don't have that idea at all. They just survive. And I was thinking that anyway, the yoga, I was thinking that I could apply somehow like this 10 times card with some foundation or something that like 100 and offer this with different organizations that the people can come free here, because I think some people is not about feeling good, it's about survival in this life. And I think is the difference. They don't need to do much. And I think about the yoga, it's not about maybe it's easy this way to connect with your body, mind, and this sensation what you're avoiding, and not do you get some taste of present anyway. That could be the go away. Like I think the Brené Brown said, she was saying in one talk that she's also yogi, but she has not time to go to yoga class, but she has a yoga mat, and sometimes she go to sit in the yoga mat and stretch there. And I think that's exactly the same little bit like art. I think the yoga is not about only the doing asanas or meditate, or this is some kind of attitude that you want to see the reality. You want to investigate what is the real and what is truth for me, and you want to see more clearly the things. And I think that like what I was in art and studying art and doing this, I think the best thing in art anyway, even I don't feel that I'm not an artist anymore, because I feel the art is only to be like accept the different people and like appreciate that the people take a risk and give something for them and go to new areas where no one else has been, and trying to be. They always has this. My wife nowadays, what I'm together, she's the artist, like a good famous artist, and I'm staying with her, and I really appreciate this that it's very important. Also in art school was very much about, I think, this, that you appreciate when you are different. You appreciate when you try something what you cannot, and you try these things. And this attitude should be everyone and everywhere. You appreciate these people who is so courage that they don't go just this, what is safe and routines and these things. And that I think.
That's a good point. I love getting a chance to speak with people who are yoga practitioners and artists.
Yes.
It's so fascinating. I I guess I was first gonna say I don't see myself as an artist, but I guess
Yes.
sometimes I do see myself as an artist, even though I don't
Yeah,
create
absolutely.
art in a traditional like in a traditional form
Yeah.
like a painting, but I do see myself as an artist
Yeah.
when I get in the ocean and swim. Like I feel like
Yeah.
somehow like feeling the water and the way I move my
Yes.
body through the water, that feels like art sometimes. Or so I do believe art can be created in every single moment. But I love how you are bringing up like the community of artists
Yes.
support one another to try to be different, or maybe
Yes.
not so much that you try to be different, but
Mhm.
to celebrate
Mhm.
the uniqueness and the difference, which is so cool. Do do I do you, when you practice Ashtanga, are
Yes.
you sticking with half primary, full primary? Do you keep moving? Obviously, I'm guessing if you practice with Lino or going to Mysore multiple
Yeah.
times, like 8 years in a row, you probably are pushing up into second series and third series.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yes. I think I heard that you were also interviewed the Tim Feldman.
Yeah.
That was like my friend in that times that we were hanging there with all the I quite
Uh,
many years in the Covenant. That I think is so great time. I'm so like then was training. I think we trained in the end of third in that time, and but it was so light everything. I don't have any worries. You just hang there whole day and did the practice and leave it. I'd used my few hours, and it's just like can it be more easy? The circumstance there hanging in India and just doing the practice, nothing else actually,
yeah.
and. I think that was somehow like fun, and it's really nice to hang with Tim because he's so like funny guy or something. I like him.
So
We were
fun.
really
I
we were
know.
really like happy together. And he was actually in Tampere also like a few months ago, 4 months ago. He having a course in our Scala. It was so nice to see. I haven't seen so much lately because he lives so far away. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think that was somehow this time in the yoga was for me was this playful thing. It was just the fun,
Yeah.
exactly, and fun, and I feel strong and healthy, and nothing could hurt me, and no worries for anything. And it was somehow like this when the children are that should be this kind of feeling all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think but nowadays I think maybe I have
But nowadays, no, okay.
That's I try to avoid this, but I think maybe I do the primary here and there. Sometimes I can do a little bit second. I haven't done third. I can do a few others maybe still there, but I'm not. Uh, I'm happy with primary doing what I'm doing, and but I think I could upgrade that in the second. That could be my. And I think the good thing is, of course, that I'm not so ambitious that I have never hurt myself.
Mm.
And that's a good point.
You
And
have you've never really hurt yourself.
no, because I'm very stiff. It was very easy to work towards stiffness because you're stiff and strong.
Mm.
It was somehow like safety in me, and
That's a really
have
interesting.
I don't
That's
have that kind.
interesting.
I'm still
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
way. I'm like okay, and
That's it.
I could do
Yeah.
things, but I like also to go to sometimes to run, and I do quite much physical work sometimes, and I do quite. But I somehow I like to Ashtanga always when I get to the mat.
Yeah. You know, it's so great that you said that because I recently started having this what seemed to me profound realization
Yes,
that I need to stiffen up. Like
yes,
I have like when you hear about injuries that happen from over
yes,
hyperflexibility, this
mm,
realization of like, wow, I was putting so much emphasis on flexibility part.
yes,
Obviously, strength with Ashtanga, you can't avoid being challenged with your strength. I mean, the strength part
no,
comes no matter
mm,
what, but
mm,
but and finding so much happiness, like, oh my gosh, all along I've
mm,
just needed to be stiffer. Like all I
yes,
really
exactly,
I should have
exactly.
tried to just
Mm,
stiffen up instead.
mm,
And so I love
mm.
hearing that you say that no, I was strong and stiff, which probably might be why you've been able to not injure yourself.
No.
That's really fascinating. To me, that's just so
Mm.
fascinating.
And I think that I think is good and bad things, but I'm not ambitious at all.
Yeah.
And
right.
that
Yeah.
I maybe I'm lying myself, but I really feel, because I didn't read the book, what is the next asana. Limo say that you get this, I
Ah,
get it. I
yeah.
was not, of course I was happy somehow, but I wasn't never do like extra stretching that I get some pose. I think why? I don't
Yeah.
understand all why I'm doing that.
I
I think
love
it's
that.
just fun and nice. And
Yeah.
I still I
Yeah.
have the same attitude. I like when I can breathe and I can move and
Yeah.
I can enjoy. But if I hurry to go somewhere, then I said, okay, but now I don't have more time. I do this and
Yeah.
finishing and I go
Yeah.
home. But maybe that is the reason why I have never pushed myself in the Ashtanga. And
Yeah.
that makes I have never come these things. I know some people who has really pushed themselves in Ashtanga. They have get this that they don't want to do Ashtanga. Or it's very like they want to. I think you have to make somehow the Ashtanga practice also suitable for you in that situation when you are in life. But
Yeah.
also that you can line up again. I think I have seen also that very clearly that if you don't have any goals, that you just do it, it's usually go worse and worse. The practice little by little like shut down. That if you have this, that you do even one asana a little bit more, try a little bit, it's good to be process something. If you're not processed anyway, you start to go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to have not like that I have to go some very big thing. It's just that a little bit add something. It gets more motivated and interest also in the practice.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Great.
It's depends the situation, of course.
Great point, Frank. I saw a picture on your website and you're holding somebody's foot. It looked to me like you were practicing like almost like a Thai massage or Thai yoga type
Oh,
stretching pressure. And you made mention earlier in our discussion that you have a friend who's really big in the Alexander technique, which is a wonderful body work modality.
yes.
Have you explored that arena as well? Are you a massage therapist and
Yeah,
a
I have done. I was in. I was when I was in Stockholm. I was in Axelsson's. So there was in this kind of 1 year like yoga massage somehow education.
yeah,
I did that for a while, but I like really do it. And now I have studying here in Finland somehow like this old Finnish traditional bone settings things like 3 years.
wow,
But it's not like a real full-time teaching. But I have given these treatments. I like somehow that because I think it's what interests me is very much about the sensitivity about the hands, what you can feel in the
yeah, yeah,
this body sensation structure or somehow the bodies and these things that you can develop this sensitivity. There's always one layer more to feel and these things. And that I think this when you are doing one treatment like 2 hours, then
yeah,
you really get this feeling about this, what happened in that. And I think that's very, for me also, it's very like, I have difficult to stop that because it's so interesting. It's a
that's
little bit, I think,
beautiful.
the same things, everything, like in Vipassana, when you start to go
Yeah,
scan in your body, it start to be like the treat what is really interesting. There's never same things. There's always something changing. And that I think is the main thing in Vipassana, like you know, that everything is changing, that when we understand this, that then is we have quite good life because
yeah,
not trying to avoid anything and not hanging with some things or choosing some feelings, that we can understand this structure, that having a good stay
yeah.
with uncomfortable sensation and so on.
Oh, that's
I
so
think.
cool. That's so cool, Frank. I love how you've been able to blend art, Ashtanga, Vipassana, body work.
Mm.
Is there any other modality or kind of similar genre of expression that you blend into your experience, your teaching, your practice, your life?
Can you say more simple? I don't understand exactly these
Okay.
questions. Can you
I was
say?
just curious if you see I also enjoy yoga, Vipassana, and massage
Mm.
therapy.
Mm.
And then I feel like what happens is I kind of have a hard time distinguishing how are they different. It all kind of starts to
Mm.
blend together. It feels like My yoga practice feeds my meditation feeds my massage therapy practice, feeds my, and they all start to kind of work together. Have you pulled any other like core ingredients into your repertoire that we haven't talked about already?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you were really good, like explaining how they flow together. But I think everything, like the main thing is this, that really that how you could see this, you can stay with this reality, what you see in yourself, and how you see more clearly outside, and how you could say like more simple, like how you can be present. But the present, everyone say that how to be present, everyone should be present. But in the practical also, it's could be good to be in some level practice that. I think no one is all the time present, but that's good.
Good
But I
point.
think I think this, like you say, in massage therapy, it's very about meditative when you are very like conscious with someone.
Yeah.
And you are very like have to be present. You cannot be somewhere else. And like I just mentioned, you cannot be somewhere else, because I think also to choose work with this, that is somehow is supporting you to. It's very easy to be this circumstance in the present, but I think it's much harder to be present maybe when you quarrel with someone, or you are very pressured or very tight, or your working situation is you are very like hard circumstance in your work. How you could put all these things in there? I think that's a real challenge.
Yeah. Great point. And I really want to ask you this, Frank, and I know we're getting close to our hour that we
Yes,
scheduled
I think
together.
it's more or less.
But this is this is perhaps maybe I shouldn't preface it as being difficult. This might be a more difficult question to answer, but recently when I watched the events that occurred in Israel
Yes.
over the weekend, and I guess my question for you is, how are you processing when you watch or observe the news? And like for me, it brought up so much just to see what we do as humans to each other.
Mm.
It is just challenging to comprehend for me, because everything we spoke about was in such a like, I mean, we're addressing the difficulties of life, but we also are like really happy doing what we do. And I feel like we see people who are living peaceful lives and kind of getting along with each other. And it's an amazing thing. And I never want to take it for granted. And when I see what I see happening in the world, I go, oh gosh, I definitely don't want to take for granted that I have a beautiful community around me and people that care and I care for. But I'm just curious how you've been processing it.
I think I think it comes maybe hardly, because we have our oldest daughter is 18, and she's really good in school and very good, aware of everything, responsibility. And then she say that, what is this word what you have left for us? I'm just 18 and my life is here, and that's the view. And then I start to think that it's
Oh, Frank, I'm so sorry. We had just a little glitch on the Zoom.
what I have lived. What is it? Some problem? Yeah. Is it good? Is it working? It was still what? Okay.
Yeah, now I think I got you good now. I'm sorry if you could repeat the last like 30 seconds.
Okay. Can we stay? Can I say again?
Please.
Okay. No, it was. I think I have many layers when you say these things. Is one thing is this, that when I see our 18 years old teenager girl who is really good in school, really responsible for everyone. She's taking out with some old people. She's very much aware about the situation in the world and the nature, and very much responsibility, and live also with that. And then it's just that, what is the situation when she starts now to be adult, and what is the view, all these things, what happened, 2 wars, what's going on, and never knows when they end, and then many other words, of course, but all the situation. And she just say that, think about her, that she's just now, I'm 60 soon, but she's just starting now the life, what the life she has in the front. But of course, there's good things also, but that was one thing. Other thing is that I think it happened many times this when it's too many people dies and the war, that you just, I think there is some word also, I don't know what it was in English, but anyway, it is that you have to closen up that, and you start to concentrate for the close people. You start to take care about these close people. You are somehow the only reaction what you try to take care about your children and this close relationship. You try to handle it, because you cannot take this so big, and if you cannot do anything, you just get so like horrible feeling. I remember there was one picture when this sorry, my English, I'm not in Africa, when they go these people around to the Mitterrand in the water, they sink down the people. And there's one photo, what the year's photo was the one small children who was in the sandpit, who was dying there, like that. And that makes very much about the people feeling how horrible these things in, because they can understand when it's the one children, and they can relate that I have a small children, if it could be that. But if there's 100 people die every day and the children, and you don't see, it's just that you somehow that you have to put something that that you protect somehow yourself in these horrible things. But the other thing is that what I think is that somehow how the world is now is also how we are now. It somehow pretends some part of us, how the society, and thinks that half of the world are starving and half of the world is eating too much and dying with that, and big companies take over the others, and all these things what has going on. I think it's not somehow like out of nowhere that happen these things what happen now in the world. And I think it's somehow like also that can we honest go inside of ourselves, how much violence we have left in ourselves. Even we can have this peaceful, calm mind that we think that we are good and we are good support. But I think the potentially we are the killers, and all these bad people, if the circumstance could be us the different. And that I think is good to understand also that it's not that everything happened outside of us and it's these people, it's somehow part of us, how difficult we have in the small to keep our own traumas and all these things. I think it's really scary, horrible, and I think the only what you can do is really work yourself in these things. And of course, if you work with this, you can influence. It's really important, all the things.
Yeah.
I don't have any better things.
I appreciate. Yeah, I think that's a great. Thank you for sharing that, because that's helpful. I like that viewpoint. It's somehow we can work with it in ourselves. It's somehow we are connected. We all are connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Frank. I know I really enjoyed this opportunity speaking with you. I was really excited. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. this morning, because for me it was 6:30 starting time for you.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I got a good night's sleep last night. My wife was like, "Come on, stay up with me," and I said, "No, I really want to be awake when I talk to Frank in the morning. I want to be alert. I don't want to be like foggy." And because I heard so many great things about you from other people that I respect greatly, and it's been better than I expected. I mean, I was really excited, but I've really enjoyed this opportunity, getting to the chance to speak with you, and I feel like your students and the people that you get to interact with today, tomorrow, in your shala, your studio, or when you're traveling and teaching workshop, are really lucky. And I hope one day to travel to Finland. I was watching on Netflix a new show called The Human Playground, where it does stories about different people doing games and sports all over the world, and they show people in Finland doing reindeer racing in the middle of winter. Like I guess like getting behind a reindeer on some skis and tying a rope to their harnessing and just like hauling butt on the snow. And I thought, oh man, the Finns look like a really interesting culture. I got to go visit Finland someday. So I really hope to come over there and get a chance to practice with you. And that would be really amazing.
Okay, but I think I really I think what you are doing is that you're interviewing the other yogis. I think that's something great. And I would love to do that, because I think that's a really good, that because there's so much about this society to, like I'm doing now, that speaking about myself, and that to really be interesting about others and what they are thinking and what they're doing. I think that's a much more important to just to try to make yourself very important. I think it's really nice. I really appreciate you doing
Frank.
this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I look forward to continuing the conversation with you, to
Yes.
seeing you at some point, and or
maybe we see some Vipassana retreat.
that would be incredible. I'll be like, wait a minute, I think I know you, but I can't
Yes.
talk to you right
Yeah,
now.
maybe I've seen. Okay, I'll see you.
I won't be able to talk to you until
We cannot talk now 10 days, but then never mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll probably know more about each other after sitting
Yes.
silently together for 10 days than we will if
Yes,
we
that's
actually
true.
share words.
Yes.
Awesome, Frank. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.